This section came off quite easy. Once, of course, I made the cut along the bottom here, cut off the bottom flange. Internally, just turn it over. It's not too bad. It was really only on the bottom edge. So I'll be repairing the bottom edge of that, including this end where the actual heater is attached. I've got to remake this section, so that's not a problem. So that's now off. Another 4 hours all told to remove that. Now the bulkhead is pretty much empty. Damage wise, surface rust all the way along. When it gets to about here, which is where the steering column comes through, the front half of this panel is perforated, so I'll probably have to cut that back somewhere to up here and remove that right down into here, and also while I'm doing that, just the top edge of this needs a repair section in there. What I intend to do now is to just remove the rust from this. Now I'm going to use vinegar for that. I've patched up with duct tape any holes from underneath just to stop stray vinegar from falling inside the car. Really don't want that if I can avoid it. So I'll just make sure I've covered all of those holes, because there's a few more down here I've got to do. Then I'll remove the rust. So most of the rust in this area I can probably remove with vinegar. Other areas I can more than likely just sand, because the original undercoat is still in there, up the top end anyway. And areas like this I'll probably use vinegar in parts of this. Other bits I might even do a bit of spot blasting, so I'll wait and see with that. But at this stage I'll try and remove the coating of rust all in this centre section here to see what actual repairs I've got to make. Now I've spent some time cleaning up inside the bulkhead here. Little rust pits along the airflow channel there, but nothing too bad that it needs repair. Where it does need repair is where I was already aware of, which are these holes here. Now these are under the duct, airflow duct. Welds on there, comes down over that. So these are actually inside the duct. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to cut across there and down all the way through to here. So I'll cut all this out. I'll make the join in the middle there. So I'll take all this out from under the steering column mount. So I'll be able to weld back onto that mount. Little join there and a seam weld across the top there. Reason I'll take this off too is that I've actually got to make a repair under this end anyway. There's holes rusted through just there. So apart from that, that's the only damage that's been done inside. Obviously the front panel I've got to make both ends. It's basically rusted on the bottom from here to there, so it's quite a long section I've got to remake, so that shouldn't be a problem. I haven't completely cleaned off under there yet. I've got to do the underside of this panel here, this top panel, but I'll invert the car to do that. I'm just removing a bit of rust on the roof with some vinegar, so when that's done I'll invert the car and then clean up all the way onto here as well. So at this stage I've actually started making the panel for the end there. I'll show that in a second, and then I'll start. No, actually I'll cut this out first, make that repair, then I'll repair this this duct across the centre there. So there's a fair bit of work to do on that as well. So anyway, it's proceeding better than I'd hoped, and it should come together nicely. You'll have to excuse the mess on the workbench. It's a problem when you're trying to restore two cars at once. I've got Daimler stuff on the bench, sort of being assembled, and this is the side of the bulkhead panel. Now, where's the original? That's the one I'm replacing. I suppose I could use that again, but there were so many spot weld holes. I don't think I really need that many, particularly down here. So I've decided just to make another one. It's just a bit of a mess trying to re-weld that back in. Anyway, so that's what I'm remaking. Initially I made a pattern sort of paper here of the metal. So that gives me the size of the metal, which I've used to cut the metal shape. I made it a little bit oversized. So then I've made up the form. Now I made a couple of these. First one didn't quite fit. It seemed to fit that pretty well, but when I put it up against the actual hole that I've got to fill, it wasn't quite large enough. So what I did then was to use this as a basis for remaking the form. A bit hard when you're working from a paper pattern to ensure that it's going to fit, because if you get it slightly wrong, you'll find that there'll be gaps around the edge of the panel, which is in fact what this first form would have created. It was about 2 mil too short, so it was fitting right at all around there, but the gap was too much gap overall, so I needed to make this 2 mil longer. Anyway, trial and error. I've clamped it between two pieces of this MDF, and I've screwed although I've got a clamp on here, that's just added to clamping. It's actually screwed together, so I've got holes in this metal plate. So I put the plate in there first, then gradually hit it down with a hammer. The main thing here is this actually has to shrink to get around, so it takes a while to get it right, but that's pretty good. Might make some adjustments later, so I'll just take it out. Right, I drilled some holes in this. I'll fill that with weld, that's not a problem. I can get that out. It's formed fairly tightly around it. Okay, that's the initial shape. What I'll do now is I'll go over to the car and see actually how well that fits. So I'll just, alright, back around to the car. Profile on the top matches quite well. That seems to fit in, flush against the back. Now, I made this a little bit over length. What I'll do is I'm actually de-rusting the remainder of this panel, and that'll be done the next couple of days. When that's complete, then what I'll do is that I'll mount the centre section. I've got location points for that, so I'll mount that in and work out where the cut will be. So if I've measured this right, this should be oversized, but that fits perfectly. So it was worth remaking the form to actually get the right fit. So yes, that fits. That will weld in nicely. So the other one, let's get the other piece. I haven't done that one yet. That one is a little more complex. As you can see, it's a bigger piece. The curve is going this way and that way, so that'll be a little harder to get shaped. And also I've got the cutout section. I'll form it before I cut that out. So this is a larger section, but once again full of holes, and apart from that was rusted down the bottom here, so it wasn't worth sort of just cutting this out and repairing this section and leaving that. These took a lot to get out. The holes there are just too much to weld up, make a neat job out of it, so I'll make the whole section. But a little bit harder than this one, as I say, because basically it comes down. This is just coming down. This side is cut to about there, so the panel starts to go up again. But it should work out fine. When I'm sure this is right, welded on, I'll actually fill those with weld, although that one appears to be right where a spot weld could be anyway, so I might just enlarge that one. Now I've finished making the repair to the bottom section here, so I cut it from there to about there and back, and probably just set a line there. So all of this is a new piece, plug welded onto the steering wheel mount, so that's nice and solid. There's no flex at all, not that I'd expect it to be. So that's all done. Repaired the corner here, put a section in probably down to about there. So that's done. The next repair that I'll do is just along the bottom here. Now I want to keep this panel up to that point, but the bottom end needs to be repaired, so I'm going to make a section across there to replace that. Once I've done that, then the next repair section will be the end. So that will sort of cover the external repairs, and then of course the air duct that goes right across, I've got to do that as well. I'm not sure whether I'll do, maybe I should do the air duct next. Be the logical thing to do to repair the inside. this cleaned up well, just with the vinegar. So that's ready to be repaired. So I've just killed off the surface with a rust converter, so that will hold till I'm ready to do that repair.